Ryan Reynolds. The name alone conjures up images of razor-sharp wit, internet-breaking memes, and a seemingly boundless sense of humor. For years, fans and media outlets have painted him as a lovable icon, a dashing movie star with a gift for self-deprecating banter. But whispers from behind the curtain suggest another perspective entirely. Insiders claim that his outward charm might only be a sliver of the real story. Has Hollywood's wisecracking golden boy been hiding a controlling streak complete with ego-fueled tantrums and on-set tension? Today, we're delving deep into the alleged cracks in Ryan Reynolds' meticulously crafted image, unraveling the controversies, rumored feuds, and hush-hush incidents that some say reveal a darker side. Whether you're a longtime admirer or a curious skeptic, buckle up. This exposé will invite you to question everything you thought you knew about Deadpool's quick-witted star, and reveal why Hollywood itself may be turning its back on Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds didn't arrive in Hollywood with Deadpool. His journey started back in the 1990s, gradually evolving from sitcom gigs and small comedic roles to the romantic leads that made him a household name. Early on, he was often cast as a clever, handsome guy next door, a persona that seemed to mesh perfectly with his real-life humor. For the most part, the media ate it up, celebrating Reynolds as a charming, easygoing presence who laughed at himself as much as he entertained others. Fans on social media especially love how he and his wife, Blake Lively, exchange playful barbs online. There's a sense of authenticity in the way he tweets or posts photos, as if you're peering into a fun, lighthearted marriage that's free of industry drama. At first glance, Reynolds represents the antidote to the stereotypical Hollywood jerk. Instead of scowling at paparazzi, he cracks jokes on talk shows, tosses comedic one-liners, and shares self-effacing stories in interviews. It's the classic everyman approach. Hey, I'm one of you, just lucky enough to be making movies. Yet, over the years, cracks have started to surface in that glossy veneer. Small rumors buzzed around that his comedic edge might turn abrasive when the cameras stopped rolling. A few people hinted at controlling tendencies. Others chalked it all up to rumor mills, jealous co-stars, or misunderstandings. Still, the whispers never quite died down. Some watchers of Hollywood's ever-churning gossip machine kept collecting these incidents, connecting dots, and arriving at a point where they began to suspect that Ryan Reynolds might not be the easygoing bro he portrayed himself to be. A big factor in his rising star power was the character of Deadpool, which felt tailor-made to showcase his brand of comedic timing. This role transformed him from a familiar face into a Hollywood heavyweight. But the making of the Deadpool films also introduced new layers of speculation. Tales of behind-the-scenes tension and on-set disputes suggested that the comedic genius of the merc with a mouth might not be so lighthearted in real life. Was it just the burden of carrying a billion-dollar franchise, or something more troubling? Throughout this section of the story, keep in mind the duality that fans witnessed. On one hand, he's the beloved comedic hero who can do no wrong. On the other, there's a flurry of claims that he's insecure, controlling, and easily ruffled by challenges to his authority. As we move forward, we'll peel back the layers of these allegations. Let's examine how these whispers blossomed into headline-making controversies, particularly those that occurred once the cameras were turned off. Before anyone pointed fingers at him for true toxicity, Ryan Reynolds was known for a different kind of behind-the-scenes behavior: playful pranks. Colleagues labeled him the funny guy who'd joke with crew members and keep the energy high during long shoots. At first, it seemed innocent, perhaps even morale-boosting. But some insiders claim there was a subtle shift over time, that these jokes sometimes ventured into the realm of belittling or humiliating others if they didn't go along with the gag. A few small controversies popped up around lesser-known film sets. Extra crew members, people who rarely get front-page coverage, whispered that Reynolds' comedic jabs occasionally stung, leaving them feeling singled out or disrespected. Whether it was calling someone out in front of the entire crew or making a crack at an individual's expense, the line between harmless prankster and demeaning figure started to blur for some. Of course, in Hollywood, that line can often be invisible, especially if the star in question is well-liked by the public. The rumors were easy to dismiss. After all, Reynolds wasn't publicly known for explosive meltdowns at this stage. He was, by and large, the smiling guy with a quick laugh. But the pattern of behind-closed-doors commentary persisted. Claims that he had to be the center of attention, that he'd overshadow lesser-known co-stars, and that he was ultra-competitive with leading men who matched his star power. For many, this was chalked up to normal Hollywood ego, something nearly every star deals with to some degree. Then came a few eye-opening remarks. Anonymous sources started talking about smaller instances of tension, a heated conversation with a wardrobe assistant about how his costume fit, a complaint directed at a new production assistant who brought the wrong brand of coffee. Singular events, yes, but they offered glimpses of a pattern. He wanted things done exactly his way. When confronted with deviation, he got testy. Tiny sparks of conflict were emerging, hinting at a bigger, more volatile fire beneath the surface. One of the more telling stories from this era involved a table read for a lesser publicized movie. Allegedly, Reynolds shut down an up-and-coming actor who tried to offer creative input for a scene. The insider story goes that Reynolds politely but firmly told the actor to stay in his lane. The encounter didn't escalate to a screaming match, but the tension was palpable. Everyone at the reading felt the chill, and the young actor reportedly left the session deflated, having been effectively silenced by the film's star. Meanwhile, the public continued to adore Reynolds. He appeared on red carpets, shot comedic segments for television, and indulged in playful social media feuds with close friends like Hugh Jackman. Fans loved seeing two famous folks banter back and forth, trading comedic barbs that felt real. Yet, behind that comedic persona, the chatter of controlling tendencies was growing louder. Those who experienced it firsthand hinted that it was only a matter of time before bigger issues burst into the public eye. Everything changed when Reynolds found himself at the center of a major controversy during the production of Deadpool 2. This was the moment that took the hushed rumors of mild tension and thrust them onto a larger stage. The box office juggernaut had given Reynolds not just popularity, but also tremendous sway, and with that came a heightened scrutiny of his methods. One of the biggest accusations from this period involves a personal makeup artist who wasn't available for scheduled reshoots. The official story from studio reps was vague, citing scheduling conflicts. But insiders leaked a more troubling narrative. Reynolds allegedly threatened to blacklist her if she didn't show up, implying that her career in Hollywood would be over if she chose to stay with her other commitment. In a town where reputation can make or break you, this was no small threat. According to these sources, the makeup artist had a prior obligation out of the country, booked well before the reshoots were planned. She communicated that she'd be back in a few days, but the production schedule required immediate makeup work for Reynolds' signature Deadpool look. Instead of hiring a temporary replacement, he reportedly insisted that she drop her other job and come back immediately. The line he allegedly used, "You will never work in this industry again," was a chilling echo of Hollywood's worst stereotypes, a powerful star pulling rank to get what he wants. The story quickly caught the attention of tabloids and entertainment outlets. When Fox News covered it, viewers were stunned. Why would Fox News, not exactly known for championing the cause of makeup artists, run a piece on Ryan Reynolds' behavior? Some speculated it was due to how sensational the allegations were. Others saw it as a sign that the story had enough credibility to move beyond mere industry rumor. Regardless, fans were confronted with a direct, disturbing claim about a star who, until this point, had boasted a squeaky clean image. What made this incident more impactful was how it paralleled the power structure of Hollywood. People started drawing comparisons to other celebrities who had similarly used their influence to push or intimidate. The question rose, was Reynolds just having a bad day, or was this indicative of a pattern? As insiders continued to leak info, it seemed more like the latter. The makeup artist incident sparked countless threads on social media. Hashtags calling out potential abuse of power spread among those who believed the allegations. Of course, there were still loyal fans who defended Reynolds, suggesting the story was overblown or fabricated by disgruntled employees. For the first time in his career, the nice guy veneer took a serious hit. No longer could fans dismiss the stories as petty rumors. Mainstream coverage meant the narrative was out in the open. Interestingly, Reynolds maintained an uncharacteristic silence on the topic. Typically, he's the first to make a joke about controversy, turning it into a witty anecdote. But here, he said little, perhaps acknowledging that humor wouldn't diffuse allegations of workplace intimidation. Reynolds' second major point of conflict centered around his reported obsession with creative control. Most fans know that Deadpool was a passion project for him, something he fought to bring to life for years. When the first film crushed box office expectations, it allowed him even greater influence in developing the sequel. But as the old saying goes, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Director Tim Miller, who helmed the original Deadpool, left Deadpool 2 over what was officially termed creative differences. But rumors swiftly surfaced. The real issue was a power struggle. Miller had been integral to the irreverent style and comedic pacing that made Deadpool a success. Sources alleged that when the sequel went into production, Reynolds demanded final say on nearly every aspect of the film, from the script to visual effects to casting choices. Miller, respected for his innovative direction, reportedly found himself battling a star who had become emboldened by success. In an interview that happened after his departure, Miller hinted at the real reason. It wasn't just minor disagreements about plot lines. It was an ultimatum about who truly controlled the final product. In his words, it seemed Reynolds wanted not just collaboration, but ultimate authority. Miller walked away rather than fight a losing battle. This wasn't the first time a big-name actor clashed with a director, but the abruptness of Miller's exit raised eyebrows. He had guided the first film to massive success. Why wouldn't the studio want him back under friendlier terms? Adding to the story, the next director, David Leitch, reportedly encountered a similar environment, Reynolds as the de facto boss. While there was no public blowout as dramatic as Miller's exit, insiders said the tension was palpable on set. Reynolds would micromanage scenes, question camera angles, and push his ideas over those of the creative team. Some crew members described the atmosphere as walking on eggshells, unsure if voicing a differing opinion might result in them being sidelined or dismissed. Critics of Reynolds argue that creativity thrives on collaboration, not dictatorship. They point out that the first Deadpool balanced Miller's cinematic eye with Reynolds' comedic expertise. By the time the second film wrapped, the synergy that had made the original a surprise smash had dissipated. Some fans noticed the difference. While Deadpool 2 was still financially successful, reviews mentioned a hint of unevenness, as if the film wasn't quite as cohesively directed as its predecessor. The creative control story doesn't stop with Deadpool, though. Industry insiders say that Reynolds has a habit of asserting authority well beyond his official capacity, even in projects where he's only supposed to be an actor or producer in name. He's known to chime in on casting decisions and even marketing strategies. Critics argue that sometimes he's right. His instincts have proven beneficial. But the question persists. Does his approach cross the line from passionate involvement into tyrannical micromanagement? Where things get even murkier is when you look at Reynolds' relationships with fellow actors. When the cameras roll, he exudes chemistry with co-stars, often dishing out comedic banter that seems natural and unforced. However, personal interactions off-camera paint a different picture, at least according to several rumored feuds. Jake Gyllenhaal was once seen as a close friend. The two starred in the sci-fi film Life and lit up talk shows with comedic bits, adorable anecdotes, and a seemingly genuine camaraderie. For a while, they were internet darlings, the sort of bromance fans love to ship. Then, almost as quickly as it started, that playful friendship seemed to vanish. Gyllenhaal began dodging questions about Reynolds in interviews. One time, when pressed on the topic, he gave an icy, "I have nothing to say," an uncharacteristic response for the usually gracious Gyllenhaal. Insiders claim that tension escalated behind the scenes, possibly due to Reynolds wanting more spotlight during promotional tours or competing for comedic one-upmanship. Meanwhile, Rebecca Ferguson, also part of the Life cast, referenced a co-star she labeled insecure and angry, though she didn't name names explicitly. She recounted a situation so tense that she refused to perform scenes with the individual in question, opting to act opposite a tennis ball instead. Allegedly, the friction was bad enough that she didn't want to share physical space with this person on camera. Rumor mills pointed to Reynolds, linking his rumored controlling nature to Ferguson's references about an unbearable, self-centered colleague. If true, it's a shocking testament to how deep the animosity ran. Then there's T.J. Miller, who co-starred in Deadpool and Deadpool 2. Known for comedic roles himself, Miller publicly stated that Reynolds was genuinely mean on set, explaining that it wasn't just teasing banter, he felt demeaned and singled out. Despite the comedic tone of the Deadpool franchise, it seems that behind the quips was a dynamic that left Miller feeling disrespected. Some fans waved off Miller's words, suggesting the actor had personal baggage of his own. However, when you line up his statements with similar claims from various co-stars, a consistent pattern emerges. Each of these co-stars has hinted that the comedic persona Reynolds is famous for might mask a more unpleasant personality trait: the need to dominate. Whether it's comedic overshadowing, on-set rivalry, or behind-the-scenes clashes, These stories collectively raise the question: is Ryan Reynolds a comedic genius who occasionally steps on toes, or is he a power-hungry actor who can't tolerate anyone matching his level of attention? Ryan Reynolds' personal life has always been part of the public fascination surrounding him, in large part because he's dated and married some high-profile women. When his marriage to Scarlett Johansson ended, the official line was that they grew apart, like countless Hollywood couples. Yet, post-divorce, Johansson spoke of dealing with passive-aggressive jealousy from a previous relationship, prompting speculation she was alluding to her time with Reynolds. Without naming him outright, she described feeling stifled, as though her partner disliked the attention she received and found subtle ways to undermine her confidence. Before Johansson, Reynolds was engaged to singer Alanis Morissette, a relationship that was widely talked about in the early 2000s. Fans might remember that Morissette's album Flavors of Entanglement came out around the time they ended their engagement. Her lyrics hinted at heartbreak and frustration, describing someone devastated and insecure. While she never explicitly named Reynolds, many believed the album was a direct reflection of their breakup. Considering Morissette's raw, confessional style, it would be surprising if the songs weren't at least partially inspired by him. These personal relationships add another dimension to the conversation. It's one thing to have professional disputes on a film set, a stressful environment by nature, but quite another to see repeated themes of jealousy and control in one's private life. Both Johansson and Morissette are strong, talented women with their own successful careers. The fact that each, in her own way, hinted at an experience overshadowed by insecurity leaves onlookers wondering if Reynolds can only truly feel comfortable if he's the unquestioned star of the show. Even with Blake Lively, some tabloids and gossip outlets have begun to speculate that all might not be as seamless as their social media jokes suggest. They paint a picture of a marriage that occasionally grapples with the same issues that apparently plagued his previous relationships: overshadowing, subtle controlling behaviors, and a drive to maintain a perfect public image. Are these rumors fact or fiction? Hard to say definitively. But the consistent whispers across different relationships, spanning different eras of his life, point to a recurring theme of Ryan Reynolds struggling with any situation where his partner might outshine him. In fairness, all Hollywood marriages face intense scrutiny from fans and tabloids alike. Many relationships bend and break under that spotlight. However, the chorus of comments about Reynolds being difficult, jealous, or controlling is notable. If it were merely one or two remarks from a scorned partner, people might shrug it off. But the repetition across multiple ex-partners, each well-regarded and with distinct personalities, suggests a pattern that's challenging to completely dismiss as hearsay. By now, a mosaic has formed. Ryan Reynolds as an actor who invests deeply in his work, sometimes so deeply that his co-stars, directors, and even personal relationships get overshadowed by his need to steer the ship. Beyond the eye-catching incidents with directors like Tim Miller and co-stars like Jake Gyllenhaal, further stories indicate that Reynolds consistently inserts himself into many facets of a production. Some crew members on the Deadpool films and other projects recount him dissecting scripts line by line, rewriting jokes, or adding extra scenes for himself at the 11th hour. While creative input from a lead star isn't unusual, the rumored manner in which he demands changes raises eyebrows. Allegedly, he's not just offering suggestions, he's telling script supervisors and writers exactly how to structure scenes, sometimes overruling them in front of entire rooms of professionals. If someone pushes back, insiders say he uses a mix of sarcasm and intimidation to push the conversation his way. Even marketing campaigns and movie trailers aren't off limits. There's talk that Reynolds insisted on final approval for promotional materials, occasionally tossing out entire concepts that marketing teams spent weeks developing. Some might argue that he knows the Deadpool brand better than anyone, having lobbied for years to bring the character to life. Others wonder if such total involvement borders on micromanagement, draining the enthusiasm of those trying to collaborate. One particularly telling anecdote emerges from the production of a smaller project, where Reynolds was neither the top-billed star nor a producer on record. Despite that, word got around that he often sidled into the director's chair when certain scenes were being set up, offering unsolicited direction. To some, this was him providing helpful notes. To others, it was a clear sign that he couldn't resist meddling in every corner of the filmmaking process. The friction reportedly became so intense that the actual director felt undermined in front of cast and crew, losing authority in the eyes of everyone on set. Critics of Reynolds see these stories as evidence of an actor who has let success go to his head. Someone who believes his comedic genius and star power grant him license to control every aspect of a production. But even those who defend him admit he can be intense and particular. The real question is whether that intensity crosses the line into bullying or abuse of power. In Hollywood, tides can turn swiftly. One moment you're the industry's favorite comedic lead, the next you're fielding hit pieces and rumored boycotts. Over the past few years, the chatter around Ryan Reynolds has grown from hushed set whispers to open speculation in tabloids, blogs, and even major news segments. Fox News covering the makeup artist incident opened the floodgates, prompting more insiders to share their experiences or their opinions. Social media also played a role in amplifying this conversation. Ryan Reynolds still has a massive fan base online, but the comment sections on some of his jokes have started to change. You'll see fans defending him, yes, but interspersed are remarks from skeptics saying, "I used to love him, but these stories keep popping up. Is there some truth to them?" This gradual shift in tone shows that the unwavering adoration might be cracking. Where once he could tweet a sarcastic remark and expect universal praise, he's now receiving pushback or questions from fans who want answers about these alleged incidents. Industry professionals, once cautious about offending a bankable star, are more willing to speak off the record or allude to negative experiences on sets. While big studios still see Ryan Reynolds as a financial draw, especially for Deadpool or comedic action roles, there's a feeling that his brand might not be as bulletproof as it was 5 years ago. Some have even speculated that his controlling reputation is scaring off certain directors and producers who prefer a more collaborative environment. If that's true, it might explain why Reynolds has leaned heavily on producing or spearheading his own projects, where he can remain in the driver's seat. This leads to a larger question. Is Hollywood out for blood, or are we witnessing the natural consequence of repeated allegations of bad behavior? Some argue that Tinseltown loves a takedown story. The bigger the star, the more sensational the fall. Others maintain that accountability is crucial, and if a star has repeatedly misused power, it's not surprising the media and fans would finally speak out. Whichever side you lean on, there's no denying that the narrative around Ryan Reynolds has become significantly more complex. He's no longer the unassailable wisecracking hero. He's a figure of controversy who stands at the intersection of fandom and scandal. So, what happens when the sheen wears off and the man behind the memes is forced to face these mounting allegations? For some fans, the idea that Ryan Reynolds could be a power-hungry, controlling figure on set is downright unbelievable. After all, every talk show appearance sees him grinning ear to ear, delivering comedic gold. How can someone that funny and self-effacing be a nightmare when the cameras stop rolling? Yet time and again, those closest to him, directors, co-stars, crew members, even ex-partners, hint at a different reality. Consider this final question. Can Ryan Reynolds salvage his image in the wake of so many rumors, leaked stories, and on-record complaints? Hollywood is a place of reinvention. Stars have bounced back from worse. It's entirely possible that he'll pivot, accept some measure of responsibility, and adjust how he handles professional relationships. Or maybe he'll continue to double down on controlling his narrative, using comedy as a protective shield. If he does, it might work for a while, but with each new rumor, the facade could slip even further. For now, we're left in a place of uncertainty. We have a man who, by all public accounts, revolutionized a comic book character and brought countless fans joy. Yet behind the curtain, co-stars and industry insiders describe experiences that tarnish the nice guy label. Whether or not you believe the rumors might hinge on your faith in behind-the-scenes whispers versus polished public persona. Perhaps there's middle ground, a talented actor with a big personality who sometimes crosses lines in the stressful heat of movie making. In the end, the truth may be somewhere between the extremes. But one thing is clear, the days of Ryan Reynolds being universally adored without question are fading. If these allegations continue to stack up, we may see more directors, co-stars, and former fans distancing themselves from the wisecracking star. The spotlight he seems to relish could become a harsh interrogation lamp shining on every misstep. And the question that remains, burning brightly in the minds of his audience, is simple yet complex. Is Ryan Reynolds the genuine comedic hero of our time, or has Hollywood's golden boy revealed a tarnished side that can no longer be ignored? What do you think about these allegations? Are they just rumors fueled by Hollywood rivalries, or is there a kernel of truth that's finally surfacing? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want to uncover more untold stories from behind the scenes. Your voice matters. Join the conversation and help us dig even deeper into Tinseltown's best-kept secrets. After all, there's always more to the story than meets the eye.